All right, Shalom, Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Ruach Kodesh. I'd like to say double honors to my teachers, the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone, the men who I've learned the truth from. And I'd also like to say Shalom and salutations to the elect that's out there preaching His word in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Shaquat, and I'm one of the brothers from the branch of Great Millstone, Montreal, back with another lesson. And this lesson that I'm going to be getting into today is going to be a quick hit, just a quick and straight to the point lesson, right? And it's going to be going into the second wind, right? And the second wind, the definition of what that means in the Google is a second wind is a sudden return of strength, energy, or easy breathing after a period of tiredness or exhaustion. It says it allows a person to keep going with an activity instead of giving up, right? Physical meaning in sports, obviously, right? So in sports, for brothers that were athletes or are athletes, whatever form or fashion it was, right? You know about the second win, right? Because there's no way that you were an athlete and didn't experience this, right? Well, it depends on how serious you took whatever sport you're into, right? Like for myself, example, basketball, right? Played a lot of sports, but predominantly basketball, and I could attest to this, man. You tap into a second wind, so to speak, right? When you're really in that mode, right? And your mindset, your body just automatically shifts from being tired to you finding energy and strength out of nowhere, man. But guess what? That energy and strength really technically doesn't come from nowhere, right? It comes from within. It's really what's within. The last gas in your tank, man. The little final drops, right? But um, I bring that out. I'm bringing this phrase out because that's what is like in this truth. That's what we're to do, right? We're to really tap into the second wind, man. Because being in this society, you know, with Esau, man, yeah, we do get tired, man. We do get exhausted, right? We are worn out, right? The scriptures say Esau is gonna wear out the saints of the Most High. But guess what? There's no giving up, man. There's no giving up. There's no stopping. You can't stop, right? Because there's still work to be done, right? There's still a lot of work to be done, man. You know, and even though we're tired, exhausted, fatigued, we're to tap into that second wind to where you just tap into a phase where you're no longer tired. That tiredness doesn't phase you, right? And that's what athletes experience this, right? And guess what? Being in this truth is just like being could be comparable to being an athlete, right? That's why the Apostle Paul he said this, and I'm gonna grab it in the NLT. This is First Corinthians 9. Let me grab it in the NLT just so it makes it easier. Slovakia. First Corinthians 9:27. In the NLT, it says, matter of fact, let me start at 24. Build it up a little bit. It says, don't you realize that in a race, everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize, right? So run to win. That's right. You know, and that's what this truth is like, right? Because Yahweh Shai said the reward. Yahweh Shai spoke about that reward. That y'all receive the same penny. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick. Uh, uh, yep, Matthew 20, and I'm gonna start at verse. I'm gonna start at 1. Matter of fact, build it up. For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. Right, and the vineyard is what? It's symbolic to this truth. Right, that's what this truth is likened unto. Right, the kingdom of heaven. Right, this is a parable. So verse 3, and he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way. Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, why stand ye here all the day idle? They say unto him, because no man hath hired us. And he said unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall you receive. Right? So this is likened unto the truth, right? Different brothers coming into the truth at different times, coming into this work, to this ministry at different times. Some earlier, like the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, they were a lot earlier. They were hired a lot earlier by Yahweh Shemashai, right? As opposed to a brother like myself, which is fairly fresh, right? Which will symbolize the closer to the 11th to 12th hour, right? It says, right, because you even before the apostles, you had what? The one Westers, you had other Abu Bivens, and so on and so forth, man, right? It says, so when, verse 8, so when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard said unto his steward, call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came to that, and when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. Right. So the reward is the same, right? The reward is the same reward, right? But granted, in the kid, there's still rank and file, right? Because if you're a part of the elect, guess what? That's the ultimate reward, right? Um. So the reason why I'm bringing that out is because it says, 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 24 in the NLT, it says, don't you realize that in a race everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize? So run to win, right? Run to win, man. Because this truth is symbolic to a race, right? And your pace is your pace as long as you get to the finish line. That's what I'm trying to say, right? That's the correlation I'm trying to make. As long as you can make it to the finish line. Some brothers can make it to the finish line at a fast tempo, at a fast pace. Some brothers some brothers have the ability to at a moderate pace, not too fast, not too slow, but a medium pace. But then some brothers at a slower pace, right? The point is, you got to run to win. Run at a pace that's gonna get you to the finish line. That's the point I'm trying to make, and that's what the parable with the penny is all about, right? You brothers coming at a different time, but you're still getting the same reward. And that reward is getting to the finish line, right? So continuing on in 1 Corinthians 9 and verse 25, I'll finish off in Matthew 20. Because I made the point. It says, all athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it. Right, so that's what the Apostle Paul here is comparing this truth onto, right? Because athletes, what do? They have a disciplinary routine that they do, and to maintain their body and to maintain their level of playing, right? And that's what we're to do in this truth as well, right? And like I said, the second win. Athletes tap into that second win, where when they're tired, guess what? They still keep going. They still have that extra and that in the tank to keep going, to keep going. You know what? And sometimes that second win, you perform a lot better. You know, you perform a lot better because yo, it's like all or nothing kind of situation, right? You know, but being in this truth, you're to be all about this truth, man, because that's what the athletes are all about. They're, whatever sport they're in, they're all about it, man. They invest all their time and effort and everything, make sacrifices for it. But that's what the Apostle Paul's trying to say here. You're supposed to have the same mindset as those athletes and take on that mindset being in this truth, right? It says, verse 25, all athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize. That's right. So they're doing it for a carnal prize, but guess what? Our prize is far beyond anything that anyone could ask for, right? And it's so heavy that, yo, the prize that we're gonna receive doesn't even amount to. It can't equivalent to the work that we put in, because it's more than we should be getting paid for, right? And a crazy amount more, man. It says, verse 26, so I run with purpose in every step. I am not just shadow boxing, right? So everything is intentional. Everything has to be intentional in this truth, right? Know what you're involved with, right? Like the elder Apostle Gabar always says, know what the hell you're involved in, man. And then move and act accordingly. And this is for myself, first and foremost. It's a reminder for myself, man. That's why I'm doing this lesson. Verse 27, I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. That's right. Right? So reflexes. Athletes train their reflexes to act, you know, they train their reflexes so that when it comes game time, it's just automatic. Right? And there's also a saying with athletes, right? Which is one I'm very familiar with. It's train like practice like you're in a game. Go game speed. Right? So why? Because when game time comes, it's gonna feel like second nature. It's gonna be so easy. It's like, yo, it's like you've been there and done that. But that's the mindset you're supposed to have towards the truth. Because I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. Hey, so with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. Call Allah Yahweh Bashim Mashai, Bashim Machakudash. Till next time, Shalom.